Premier League Arsenal vs Bournemouth prediction, team news, lineups preview. Bidding to temporarily go 4 points clear at the top of the Premier League standings, Arsenal kick off Saturday's action with the visit of Bournemouth to the Emirates Stadium for the lunchtime kickoff. The Gunners staved off a second-half Tottenham Hotspur fightback in an enthralling 3-2 North London derby win last weekend, while the Cherries hit Brighton Hove Albion for 3 without reply. Match preview. Painful flashbacks to the capitulations of 12 months ago crossed the minds of Gunners last Sunday, where after Bukayo Saka, Kai Havertz and a Pierre-Emile Højbjerg own goal gave them a seemingly unassailable 3-0 lead over Tottenham. Their bitter foes came roaring back. David Raya and Declan Rice's blunders allowed Christian Romero and Son Heung-min to threaten an almighty turnaround, but the latter's penalty ultimately came too late for the Lilywhites to salvage anything from the heated derby, as Arsenal just about emerged unscathed from that 5-goal classic. Thanks to their latest victory in a game that Saka admitted his side may not have won last year, Arsenal have retained their vulnerable 1-point advantage over Manchester City in first place. But owing to the Champions game in hand, perfection may still not be enough to end their 20-year title drought. With Liverpool more or less out of the race, though, it is a nerve-jangling straight shootout for glory between Mikel Arteta and his erstwhile employers, who do not play again until Saturday evening and will therefore fall further behind the Gunners if the Emirates Giants make it 4 top-flight wins on the bounce this weekend. 6 of Arsenal's 7 Premier League home matches in 2024 so far have ended in triumph, the outlier being April's alarming 2-0 loss to Aston Villa, and on the back of being on the right end of a 3-2 scoreline versus Tottenham. It is only appropriate that Arsenal reunite with Bournemouth after last year's Emirates extravaganza. Safely marooned in mid-table as the campaign enters its dying embers, Bournemouth followed up their 1-0 beating of Wolves with an emphatic South Coast success against Brighton, where one of Andoni Iraola's attacking marksmen stole the show. It was a quiet afternoon for Dominic Solanke at the Vitality Stadium, but Enes Ünal shouldered the attacking burden, setting up Marco Senesi's opener before heading home himself, and the 3-0 win was rubber-stamped when Justin Kluivert finished off a sweeping counterattack right at the end, leaving the relegation dogfight well and truly behind. Iraola's men are smack-bang in the middle of the standings in 10th spot on account of gleaning 48 points, their highest-ever Premier League total, and European qualification remains a mathematical possibility with just 3 games left to go. The gap to Newcastle United in 7th and Manchester United in 6th stands at 5 and 6 points respectively, although Bournemouth have played a game more than both and face 2 tricky away days to conclude their campaign, also heading to Chelsea after hosting Brentford on May 11th. The work of Iraola and his coaching staff will not go unnoticed either way, but Bournemouth were demolished 4-0 by Arsenal on home soil back in September and blew a 2-0 lead in this fixture last March, where Reiss Nelson's 97th-minute winner sparked perhaps the wildest celebrations the Emirates has ever seen. Team news. Suffering no fresh fitness concerns in the North London derby, Arsenal might have all of their senior troops available this weekend, as ACL victim Jurrien Timber has now come through 2 matches with the under-21s unblemished. The Dutchman is apparently optimistic of his chances of making the matchday squad for the visit of Bournemouth, but he will surely only be considered for a spot on the bench, as Takahiro Tomiyasu holds the fort at left-back over Jakub Kiwior and Oleksandr Zinchenko, never one to unnecessarily rotate his resources. Arteta should stick with an identical 11 from the win over Spurs, where Saka became the first Englishman since Ian Wright in 1996-97 to score 15 Premier League goals for Arsenal in a single season. In contrast, Bournemouth are not so fortunate on the injury front and were subjected to a worrying sight in added time against Brighton, as attacker Antoine Semenyo left the field on a stretcher and was seen hobbling out of the stadium on crutches amid fears that he could be set for several months on the sidelines. Iraola is still awaiting an official diagnosis on Semenyo's knee injury, but he will definitely sit out Saturday's game, as will Chris Mepham illness, Milos Kerkez suspension, Romain Favre thigh, Luis Sinisterra thigh, Marcus Tavernier thigh and Ryan Fredericks calf. Tyler Adams back. Philip Billing illness and Ilya Zabarnyi illness will also require once-overs in the coming hours. But the latter's return could allow Dengo Ouattara to deputise for Semenyo if Lloyd Kelly takes up left-back duties. Arsenal possible starting lineup: Raya, White, Saliba, Gabriel, Tomiyasu, Odegaard, Partey, Rice, Saka, Havertz, Trossard. Bournemouth possible starting lineup: Neto, Smith, Zabarnyi, Senesi, Kelly, Ouattara, Cook, Scott, Kluivert, Solanke. Unal. We say, Arsenal 3-1 Bournemouth. The handbrake has certainly come off for a Bournemouth side who have scored in each of their last 10 Premier League matches, and despite Arsenal's unrivaled defensive record, the Gunners are still guilty of the odd rearguard mistake. However, as the visitors continue to work around an injury crisis, they ought to be overwhelmed by Arteta's effervescent attacking forces. As the Gunners do all that they can to remain in control of the race for glory. Thanks for your watching. Don't forget to click the subscribed button and hit the bell icon for more.